Hello, Sandy Moss, here again with another kind of object that I pulled out of my closet today. This is a different item. You don't see many of these. It's a pretty simple object. It's something that's obviously handmade, not manufactured. It's got two solid ends to it, and which are connected. They're triangular shaped, both. And there's two bottom bars and a top bar, and together they make, a triangle of glass on the bottom. Now this is something that not too many people see or know too much about these days. But the idea of it is it's used in surveying or in navigation at sea. And it's called an artificial horizon. And the idea of an artificial horizon is that you're using a navigating tool or a location survey tool which requires that you measure the height of the sun, the altitude of the sun above your position on the earth, and this is expressed often as the altitude of the sun in degrees above the horizon. Well, in order to look through a sextant, let's say, and see the sun at one point and another point the horizon, and by manipulating the eyepiece and whatnot, you can bring these into alignment. In order to have that, you have to see the horizon. Now, if you're a surveyor in the mountains, for example, it's tough to see the horizon. There's no clear horizon. If you're out at sea, or even if you're on shore near the coastline and it's foggy, you can't see the horizon. You may be able to see the sun, but not the horizon. And so to make it possible to find out your latitudinal position, where you are in the north-south position on the earth, you have to resort to some way of visualizing the horizon. And that's what this little thing is supposed to do. If you look closely at one end, you see it has a cork that's put in here. There's an opening here with a cork there. And the idea is that you can open this up. You can take the cork out, and the inside is sort of bottom. And to use it as smooth, if you use it as an artificial horizon, what you want to do is put something in there that will reflect light, and that something is usually mercury, liquid mercury. Can't use it today, but in the old days they used liquid mercury. You could also use something that's relatively reflective, and in the Arctic, for example, early Arctic explorers resorted on using molasses. Molasses is sort of easier to use than mercury. The nice part about mercury, a liquid like mercury, is that when you put it in here, it spreads itself out in a completely level sheet. It doesn't accumulate in one place or another. And so it's equidistant from the bottom on all edges. You can do that with molasses too. It'll spread out like that and still be reflective. But the nice part about using mercury or molasses is that they will sit flat. They won't tremor. They won't get too many little waves in them, and that allows you to visualize the sun through this. Now, how this was used is you set it on a flat place, relatively flat place. It doesn't have to be completely level because the mercury or the molasses will automatically level itself out. And then you view the sun shining down, which goes through the glass, hits the reflective layer of the mercury or the molasses, and then reflects out. And you take your sextant, your transit, your instrument for looking at the angle of the sun image coming out of there. So if I shone a light, for example, and said, okay, this is the sun, and as the sun moves according to whatever meridian or whatever latitude it is, its reflection is coming out here in such a way that you can measure that angle between the light here coming in and going out, and you can estimate then where the horizon is. Actually, the light is coming out at a steeper angle than it's going in, and it turns out if you half that angle that it's coming out, that's basically the point of the horizon. So it allows you to substitute a horizon and therefore be able to determine the altitude of the sun at a particular time, usually the meridian time at noon. That's when most of these measurements are made. So it's a neat little thing that's no longer used. There are lots of electronic ways of figuring out horizons, but this was what was used in the 19th century and probably even earlier than that. So an artificial horizon. If you ever see one of these little triangular box things with glass on three sides and some kind of an opening in which to pour reflected liquid, that's what you're looking at.